Some nonstop issues with bounty hunters. Our investigative team digging into a national problem that has reared its ugly head more than once right here in Baton Rouge.
Our lead investigator, Scotty Hunter, has been tracking complaints about bounty hunters here in Louisiana and across the country.
It's broad daylight when chaos breaks out inside a convenience store.
Get up!
Police officers!
This woman, hogtied and on the ground, was picked up by Louisiana bounty hunters in Missouri after she missed a court date on misdemeanor charges. At some point during the ride back to Louisiana, she told those agents she needed to use the bathroom. Once inside, she desperately begs for help.
Can you please help me? Can you please help me? Can you call the police, please? These are not police officers.
Body camera video shows one of the two agents whip out his stun gun, hitting the woman multiple times.
Ow! Ow!
Then get up. I'm not going to say it again. You're under arrest. Get up.
You're not a police
I don't need to be a
officer.
cop to arrest you.
At one point, the other agent even pulls her hair.
Get out!
I'm gonna get up.
No, you're not!
Stop pulling her hair.
And when she asks to see their ID, they pop her again with the business end of that stun gun.
I want to see your identification. Ow!
Get up.
Ow!
One more time.
Oh my
Get up.
God.
This is all on camera.
After dragging her outside, the bounty hunters curse the woman out and try to force her into a car as workers from the store try to come to her aid.
Stupid.
Ow! Ow! That is ridiculous.
What she's doing is ridiculous.
Your name?
Wait, give me your identification.
But it's those two agents who now find themselves in trouble with the law, slapped with federal kidnapping charges. The male was just sentenced to 10 years in prison, while the female got 5 years of probation.
If your house is surrounded, we will cover this motherfucker whether you like it or not.
Back here in Louisiana, surveillance video picked up this raid gone wrong. This time, agents show up outside Jofina Kelly's home. After surrounding the house, one of the agents armed with a large gun goes off the rails.
No, you disrespect Yo, you got to stand in what I'm saying. You don't want to hear a word I'm saying.
The agents are looking for her son. The only problem, Kelly says, he does not live there.
You don't like Waddy, huh? You piece of
I was lost for words because I was like, who does this? Like, who does this and doesn't have to be accountable?
Was there ever a point where you felt like you or your family's safety was in jeopardy?
Yes, the entire time. Especially when he was in the back saying, you mother gonna let me in here.
2 months ago, bounty hunters also surrounded this Baton Rouge home looking for a man the homeowner tells me she has never heard of.
They gave me a name that I never heard in my life. So I was like, no, this is not their residence. So they gave me an address, which was the wrong address.
The woman, who did not want to be identified for fear of retaliation, says she was in the bathroom when she heard banging and yelling on several of her doors and windows.
I was just thinking that they could have kicked my door and put a gun on me and me not knowing what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I was scared, real shaken.
When they realized they had the wrong place, the woman tells me the agents took off like nothing even happened.
It was just horrifying. And I can't get it out of my head. It's really like traumatizing to me, seriously.
These are just 3 different examples of bounty hunters taking things too far or just flat out getting it wrong here in Louisiana.
We go search the house and make sure he ain't here.
Bounty hunters work on behalf of bail bond agencies and try to catch those who are skipping out on their day in court.
I'm not playing with you. I'm done.
Here in Louisiana, it's up to the Department of Insurance to make sure they do things by the book. It's not just a problem in Louisiana. This Houston man was terrified when he says bounty hunters barged into his home and shot up the place. You can see the bullet holes left behind in what he calls an unhinged attack.
They shot through the walls, through all kind of stuff in my room, sheetrocks flying and hit me, glasses flying and hit me. I thought I was going to die.
Bounty hunters were at the wrong house, and when they broke in, the bullets started flying.
One of the guys said, you better not call no police or I'm going to shoot you too.
The 3 bounty hunters involved in this case were charged with felony burglary. In Dallas, this cell phone video captured a shootout that sent customers, including children, scrambling to safety.
Greenville at the Nissan dealership. There's been shooting. I'm hiding in the bathroom. Please hurry.
Agents showed up after tracking the man to the dealership. When they moved in with guns drawn, that man took out his own gun, sparking the shootout that left glass shattered and customers rattled. In this case, both bounty hunters and the man they were tracking all ended up dead.
Open the door!
And if you think it's just everyday people being targeted, think again. This middle of the night raid on a home in Phoenix, Arizona started rough but quickly fizzled out when agents realized they were mistakenly at the home of the police chief.
We believe there were 11 individuals that were on scene for this recovery, and quite frankly, they were at the wrong house.
One of the agents who showed up here was arrested and did not even have a license to do the work. He later admitted he and the rest of his crew, including an 11-year-old boy, were operating off a tip on Facebook.
This is very problematic because what they do is hidden in plain sight until something goes awry.
Why are we seeing so many cases where these bounty hunters are just getting it wrong?
That's a really great question. And bounty hunting is a bail security agents. It's a very little understood and actually hidden part of the justice system.
Thaddeus Johnson, a former police officer turned professor at Georgia State University, blames a lack of oversight for the problems with certain bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters are simply private citizens who oftentimes are unregulated, hired by private companies who carry out quasi-police and paramilitary type of exercises.
Part of the confusion could also come from the wide range of who exactly is tasked with regulating them and what Johnson believes is a lack of training.
I don't necessarily think that people have nefarious intentions who get these things wrong. We just have people who are not qualified often, not regulated, in bad positions.
Sometimes, in Hollywood, they, portray us as being violent thugs, and it really couldn't be further from the truth.
Chuck Jordan is the president of the National Association of Fugitive Recovery Agents and has more than 20 years of experience on the job. He says while there are some bad actors out there, for the most part, their agents follow a code of ethics and guidelines put in place by the states they operate in.
That really is dependent on the different jurisdictions. They all sort of have their own culture there or their own sort of priorities. What I will say is that, people in our industry, we're subject to the same laws as anyone else. So, if we break the law, we can be prosecuted just like anyone else.
While he admits there are some gaps and room for improvement, anyone who has an issue with a bounty hunter can file a complaint with their state and with the National Association.
We do have a process, actually right through our website. There's a form they can click on to file a complaint against a member. And that is something that we look into. And there are times where we actually remove people from our organization if we find that they're not conducting themselves properly.
Jordan tells me agents typically have to meet certain requirements to keep their licenses current, but how strict the standards are is left up to individual states.
I believe that there are, adequate checks and balances in place. That's not to say that you have the occasional bad apple that you might find in any profession. But that's more the exception than the rule. We don't see a lot of that.
He believes bounty hunters fill a vital role in the community and that most of the good work they do goes unnoticed. As police departments and sheriff's offices across the country face shortages and trouble recruiting and retaining qualified officers, Jordan says bounty hunters step up to the plate and take on the dangerous job.
It used to be that everybody wanted to be a police officer. They could, cherry pick whoever they wanted. And nowadays, they're really struggling to recruit people to do the job because the world is becoming an increasingly volatile place.
But Johnson says when it comes to this kind of work, the name of the game is quality over quantity. And there are some states that have banned bounty hunting altogether, including Illinois, Kentucky, Oregon, and Wisconsin.
Or do you think that that's something that more states might consider doing?
I don't think that this is a thing that we need to disband, but we need to figure out how to regulate and bring them into the fold and perhaps use them for intel as opposed to using their skills or lack thereof in the field.
Now, we did reach out to the Department of Insurance about their complaint process. Any complaint they receive is typically investigated within 30 days, but can last longer depending on the situation. If you have an issue with a bounty hunter that you need to report, we have the form to make that complaint for you. Just find this story in the iTeam section of the 9 News app. Guys?